Kevin Joseph can speak, he cannot hear. As I did the intro, I realized I kept my AC on. And so we were going to start the show with bzzz the entire time, which is quite all right. We'd be doing our Blake's Buzz impersonation. We all want to be Blake Morgan when we grow up, but only one can actually do it. My name's Kevin Joseph. My co-host is Will Allred. Will, how are you this week?
Doing all right, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I feel like, time flies when you're having fun. And I feel like we just said goodnight to the show last week. So I've apparently had a really good 7 days. I might be a little bit brain dead. So I hope that our guests are ready to explain themselves without much help from me. And what we're going to do is a very quick shoot through our guest. Please introduce your book, yourself, and give a 30-second pitch on how you would interest somebody to your book if you were at a comic convention. Let's start with Magic Powder.
All right, so I guess my elevator pitch would be Magic Powder is Dungeons and Dragons meets Breaking Bad, and it's a comic book version of that. So it's like everything you could want all in one comic. It's also got, a little bit of hints of things like The Sopranos or Grand Theft Auto and, The Godfather, like the name of the Dwarf Father is based on that. But it's basically just a fantasy crime story that takes place in a world that I created.
Nice. So let's go from fantasy crime to fictionalized but real world crime. John, can we get a little taste of Getting Back to Normal?
Sure. So Getting Back to Normal is a dark comedy, existential crime story about a man who's been living on the streets for most of his life. So you're getting a detective story with an unreliable narrator. He finds a dead body and decides that he wants to go find the killer, and he's going to bring justice to this person. So this guy takes us into all sorts of crazy situations, and he's taking us along for a ride to places that we don't normally go to.
Nice. And Frank, I know that it's all ages. I know it's cool looking superhero, but let's introduce us to Turkana.
Turkana is a female superhero that I sort of created in an image of my daughter when she was 7, which is a long time ago. She's 16 now. She said, "Daddy, I don't like superheroes anymore. I don't like princesses anymore. I like superheroes." And that's where the seed of the idea came from. So basically, it's an all-ages comic. She has long blue hair. She looks like a 15-year-old girl, but she's actually 150 years old. She kind of fights crime with her friend Brittany. Generally, it's kind of like there's a bigger story arc and stuff. It started off as 3 illustrated novels, but I switched to comic books in 2019. People still like comic books better, and I talk very fast, so I'm sorry.
No,
is that good for now?
No, it's good enough. Let's start the deep dive. I'm going to pull up the page, and so when you say you started it off for your daughter, did you write it first just for her, or was there a bigger audience in mind when you started playing with this?
The main thing I really wanted to do was create a superhero that she could look forward to, because back in 2016 or before then, she was kind of watching Kim Possible, but she didn't like the crop top she was wearing, and there wasn't really a whole lot of teen superheroes that she kind of liked at the time. So I created one, and the alter ego of Turkana isn't a girl named Paige. My daughter's name is Paige. So it's kind of the alter ego there. And if you like Kim Possible, Green Lantern, or Static Shock, you're probably going to like Turkana. And the whole purpose of the Kickstarter is for comic number 7, because there's 6 comics already. Comic number 7 is basically done. It has the color is there. It just don't have it printed off. So that's basically what I need the money for, is to get it printed off.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm just running into this for my first time, if I wanted to try to grab the first 6 issues, could I get them either digitally or physically?
Yes, you can. Those are a couple of different tiers, or whatever they call them, where you can actually get all 6 comic. Matter of fact, I think you can get all 7 comics as a physical copy or a digital copy, or if you just want to get just the one set, let's say you have all 6 already, you can get that one too. One thing I did with the Kickstarter is I introduced all the characters, because I pretended that, okay, what if somebody's out there who hasn't seen any of this yet? There's the characters for you. You can check them out.
Absolutely. Now, Paige is based on somebody. Is Brittany based on anybody?
No, but I knew from the very beginning that I knew that she was going to be in the LGBT community. I didn't say anything at first until I kind of like, I better say something, because after all, people in that community are gonna like, is she or she not? So that's what comic number 5 is all about. There's no, she has a crush on somebody, but it's not, it's not Turkana. Turkana and Brittany, they kind of work together. They're a good team. There's no relationship thing there. They're good friends, and she just has trouble at home. That's why, she needs somebody to talk to. So, but that was with, like I said, with Brittany there. And there's also other characters too, like the redhead in the background there. She's Maya Rose. She's a vegetarian. She, has these powers where she meditates and she can get into your head. She can't make you do things, but she can kind of get into your head,
She sounds like you, Will. A vegetarian that gets into my head.
That's right. Be afraid.
So Brittany's not based on anybody, but Maya's
Brittany's not based on
Will.
anybody, but I wanted to mix of different characters. That's why, like I said, there's a vegetarian. Brittany is Latina. She's a lesbian. Brian, he's a nerdy kid. He likes playing video games. He doesn't, go out too much, but he kind of helps him out. But he's a kid at home on the computer. You know what I mean?
Right. Basically, everybody on this panel's Avatar.
There you go. Yeah.
For real.
But somebody has to be at home and say, "Hey, look out! There's somebody over there," and that's going to be his job. So,
yeah, Will and I don't do this late on Friday nights because we have a super full social calendar.
Yep, I think that's fair to say.
But as you can see, as you're scrolling through there, I did give everybody a sneak peek at all the other comics as well. This way, they can kind of get a sneak peek of all the other comics that are available. So,
is your illustrator the same on each comic?
Yes.
Okay.
Comic number 7 is called "You Can't Save Everyone," and the whole premise of it is hey, there's a fire, and it just so happens it's the fire of Brittany's uncle's house, and there's a girl there who's like 10 years old. The girl has a dad, and hey, they got to go save the person inside. Well, she goes inside, and the house is kind of falling apart. Well, she goes in there, and she saves the little girl. She has to go back and get the dad because there was something falling on him. She couldn't do it at the same time, and then when she goes back, the house explodes. So now she has to deal with that. I'm trying to make sure people understand these characters. I love character development. So yeah, the comic number 5 was all about Brittany and her sexuality and stuff and how she deals with that at home. But now this one's about Turkana and how's she going to deal with trying to save somebody? Because after all, heroes can't save everybody all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I agree with that totally.
Yeah.
And that's a deep thing to put in an all ages book. So I think that's pretty cool to be thinking about it. But who is the art team? Who and how did
his
you
name is
find
Javel. He's on Fiverr, but he charges a lot more than he did a long time ago. Because Fiverr's a lot different now than it was back when I saw many years ago. Matter of fact, my wife used to do voiceovers on Fiverr, but now it's like nothing is $5 anymore on Fiverr. It's just a name now.
Right.
So yeah, but he's been my artist for a long time, and I have different stretch goals and their stuff too. But I also tried to get stretch goals that I thought, okay, it's an all ages comic, so let's pick some things that are for all ages stuff, like hats and keychains and that kind of stuff. So
awesome.
Yeah.
All right, I popped back in and I see somebody in the thing. Is this Chris? You with us?
Hey, Chris.
What's going on, everyone?
Hey, buddy. Good to see you. Good to see you. We always like the people who come in and they let it get warmed up. They let it get warm up, and then they come in hot. So it's great to see you. We're going to give you a 30-second pitch just as we're done with Turkana. I want to make sure that we finish the deep dive there. If you had a chance to just keep writing this, would it go on forever? You said there was a big story. Do you have kind of an end game in mind?
Well, right now, I want to end it at comic number 10. I do have an idea for an end of it. But what I really want to do more than anything is try and get this into an animated series. Because if you look at the artwork, it does look like an animated series. It looks very, cartoonish almost.
Right.
And that's what the whole idea was a long time ago. So I've written a pitch book, but I got to put it together better. So I'm hoping I can get somebody to pay attention to it and maybe turn into an animated series, because that thing would be fantastic, especially if it's something like the Owl House or Amphibia, where you can, it's a young audience, but it's also more mature. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like Avatar: Last Airbender was like it's a young audience, but it's like more mature themes.
Infinity Train. That's
exactly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. that's what I'm hoping for. But
I feel like a lot of all ages, comics don't really, they talk down to the reader. And it doesn't sound like this is going to happen with what you guys got going on with Dracona.
Well,
Because even like you were saying, like how heroes can only save so many people and stuff like that. They don't get that concept in a lot of like young adult stuff or even children's stuff. So that's cool that you're going there.
Yeah, and again, Alpha, somebody got that for a second. In the comic number 5 with the LGBT comic, it's like I didn't want to show the relationship. I want to show what she's dealing with, because she has a dad that's kind of like doesn't like that kind of stuff. Doesn't want to talk about the kind of stuff. So it's like, okay, she needs somebody to talk to. She needs somebody to go to, and it's like, how's she dealing with it at home? So I wanted to approach it differently than like, oh, there's 2 people together. It's like this is what she deals with. So,
and that's the thing too, because I hear a lot of complaints on anything, whether or not it's LGBTQ or even just like cis or whatever. It's just like, either way, I'm not there to see the romantic parts of their relationship. Like you said, I want to see them either having a good time outside of that, or like you said, dealing with the haters they got to deal with, or just dealing with, maybe work getting in the way of a relationship, kids get, what I mean? Just the real life relationship problems. Cause like, I know what kissing looks like, you know what I mean? I know what nudity looks, we all been there. So like that stuff, I feel like is a little overplayed. I know some people say, they're fighting to keep it around, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. But to me, that's not what I'm going in it for. So it's cool. That's not what your story focuses on.
I want to, like I said, I want good characters, and I want to see what those characters deal with. That's the whole thing.
Right.
So
exactly. Yeah. And that's what it's about, because where's the conflict?
Exactly.
That's what it is.
All right, we got Keeping It Geekly in the chat. We already talked about
Hey,
This is another awesome comic podcast. Says, I'm here for the romantic parts,
Well, she does have a crush on somebody, but it's like it's just mentioned. She's got a crush on a cheerleader, and she's like, well, no, I won't tell her, So,
but that's probably very accurate.
Yet, so
Yeah, that's accurate to the age too. I mean, who told their crush they were in? These characters are what, middle school?
Yeah, they're 15. Yeah,
15. So sophomore in high school. So
Yeah.
sometimes you tell your crush, sometimes you don't. So yeah, I mean. Thankfully, the world's a lot better for kids growing up that way than it was when I was in high school, when we were not as open to it, not as kind as I wish I would have been in high school. But we were taught that was bad, and you need to tell people not to do it. And
yeah,
I was taught wrong, and spending my life trying to not be that person I was in high school. But we actually didn't have comic books who put that out for me to read it and make these realizations myself. So I think that's pretty cool what you're doing, and all the luck on Dracona. I'm going to definitely get the catch-up tier. I'm going to check on the digital or the physical, depending on what my credit card is this month, but I'm going to get one or the other after the show.
That'd be
Chris,
awesome.
You didn't get to do the 30-second pitch. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you do the 30-second pitch as I pull up the Saturn Effect. And then we'll go straight into the deep dive. We're going to go hardcore sci-fi before we get into our 2 crime stories. So we'll try to deal with a theme. So catch everybody up. The Saturn Effect. What is this book? While I pick up the page.
All right. So the Saturn Effect Alpha is my sci-fi epic where we follow stellar siblings Alpha and Centauri as they try and free their home, the Titan colonies, from the Earth Empire. And it's a mature sci-fi epic for fans of Star Wars and The Expanse. And this is issue 5. We've done this we've done this 5 times now. So
about 5 times, yeah. 5 times. unless you really screwed up the numbering system. I do have to read. I loved your asterisk here. Series contains strong language, nudity, suggestive themes, violence, and all around badass sci-fi shit. So honestly, guys, he told you what's in the book. So if you can handle it, get on it. Issue 5 is this. How many volumes are you doing, and where is issue 5 in the trajectory of this story?
So we are going to be doing 2 volumes of the Saturn Effect Alpha. We have volume 1 out now, and that came out last year. And our newest issue, issue 5, is for the first issue of volume 2. So this is the beginning of the end, as I like to say. We are gearing up to our final big conclusion that, we've been waiting for a long time now, especially if you've been someone that's been reading the Saturn Effect since the very beginning when we released it online for free at thesireneffect.com with the Siren Effect Ajax. It's a lot of different storylines, a lot of different characters, and issue 5 is where all of these different stories finally collide into one spot, and we can finally push forward to that ultimate conclusion.
Okay, I had to stop on this, what I assume is a double page spread.
Yes.
Okay, so when I see an image like this, I have to say, who is your artist? Where did you find them? This page is immaculate.
So this is the amazing, like, supremely talented master Mazzoli, Francesco Mazzoli. I met him through the artist for TSC Ajax, Jacopo Callisti. I wanted to make a one shot for Alpha, and he was like, "Yo, use this guy. He's awesome." And I mean, Francesco and I have been, great friends since, and he recommended his, really long time good friend Marco D'Alessandro to do the colors. So us three have been a team along with Reed Hinckley Barnes on the lettering, and we've just been making this for the past couple of years now. And yeah, I mean, Francesco's the man, and honestly, for all of us, this book is like a happy place for us. Like, we get to come back to Alpha and just play around with stuff and be creative and do really awesome sci-fi, badass sci-fi shit, as I like to say. And yeah, it's been really awesome. And thank you for pointing them out, because I love to give shout outs and praise to my artists, because they all honestly do so much work, and they put in so much time into these books. And I appreciate all of them. And sometimes it's hard to shout out everyone now that we've been doing it for so long, because there's so many artists that are on, the Red Sea team. Right. And it's really nice to give them their flowers when you can.
Well, we do this as a podcast and a YouTube show, and we try to make it podcast centric, because but if you're on the podcast, go to the YouTube page and check out the depth of field of these images. I mean, they're just absolutely extraordinary.
Yeah, Mazzoli just has this amazing eye for everything, honestly. But when it comes to just page compositions, I don't think there's really many people that do it better than him. He can do anything, and it's actually funny. So I have a new book. This is a slight tangent. I have a new book coming out in August, and he's an awesome artist, and he's doing the first page layouts, and then he starts reading the Siren Effect, for inspiration. And I had to tell him, was like, yes, Mazzoli is amazing, but he's also a crazy man. He's also like, he's been in the lab for years, and you can't just go jump into it and expect to be able to emulate something that takes as long as it does that he's gotten to. It takes years of practice and training, and then even teaching others, because Mazzoli also teaches. So it is just to say, just to put Mazzoli up on that pedestal even further, because he's a really awesome artist, and yeah, his perspective, his everything is immaculate, top tier.
You've already mentioned the colors. Who's your letterer? Because your lettering is very unique and cool too.
Yeah, that is Reed Hinckley Barnes, and we developed the style for this from after reading things like Valerian. This is a straight callback to they also use square bubbling in their book. And this whole entire series is really just a love letter to sci-fi as a whole. It's a love letter to things like Star Wars and The Expanse, but also to things like the Inkle and Valerian.
Well, and you mentioned the Inkle. I mean, this has a European flavor to it. I mean, if I can go like, because you talk about the Inkle and Valerian and things like that, and I think you're right that the lettering really contributes to that, but also the art and the coloring really kind of work to at least give me the feel of something like a Mobius book, or. Speaking
of the feel, I gotta love the sci-fi sound effects we got going on.
Yeah.
Whoever's doing that, try to keep it, we're on this book, try to keep it common.
Yeah.
Sets the mood. But yeah, I mean, you're spot on. That interestingly enough, Mazzoli, D'Alessandro, they're both from Italy, so heavily inspired by all of those people and just European comics in general. And so yeah, this series is very much a European style book, and we try and put out a lot of different awesome art in awesome different styles. From Red Sea, we have this one, and we also have our previous campaign, Control Z, which is also an artist from Italy, but his style is way more American. So we like to balance it out and sort of give a nice range. And with the other projects coming down the line, there'll be other art styles that'll, as a whole, when you see them all together, you'll be able to be like, you know what, I can see why this is Allred C.
So if somebody is watching or listening and that they haven't seen the Saturn Effect yet and they want to catch up, you said you had volume 1. Can they catch up with floppy comics? Can they catch up with a trade paperback or a hardcover? How would they go about getting the first 4 stories so that they start in fresh?
So definitely grab the volume trade paperback. As we continue forward, we want people that have supported us and gone to our specific campaigns to feel like they've gotten something special. So after a volume comes out, it might be a little bit harder to find single issues. So currently we do have about 5 or 6 of issue 4 singles available on the current campaign. But if you want one of the other ones, you have to follow along, and hopefully you'll see maybe a quick drop of the very original first edition Alpha 1s that we put out that don't even have the Red Sea logo on it, because they're so old and it didn't even have Red Sea. You might be able to find those things by following along and checking on updates. But otherwise,
that felt very like a very pointed hint.
Yeah, I mean, yes, definitely.
Not exactly an exclusive, but a very pointed hint.
Yes, definitely.
But that's brilliant. That's a great way to get people excited and paying attention and reading the updates. I think that's a absolutely great idea.
Yeah, and obviously we all are learning from other creators. So shout outs to Charlie Stickney, one of the godfathers of Kickstarter at this point. Between him, Pat Shand, and a few others, there's a lot of knowledge and that you can just glean from seeing what they do. And
we don't use Charlie's name on this show. What do you say, Will?
We call him that guy.
That guy.
Well, that guy knows what he's doing.
That guy is all right, but he comes up enough. We don't need to use his name. He's like Madonna, but we don't have to do the Madonna part. Just that guy. It's funny you said that, and it reminded me of that guy dropping his, San Diego Comic-Con Galarians in a Kickstarter. So yeah, no, we all beg, borrow, steal, learn from each other's successes. Learn from each other's mistakes. And I think that's one of the great thing about the community is that we can do so. And one thing that I'm going to stop this right now, I'm not going to talk about the Saturn Effect for a second. You guys might have heard that Fort Lauderdale had a little bit of rain last week. That kind of came up, right? The day that it rained that way, my very good postal worker who does a fabulous job put a Kickstarter rewards in my mailbox, and she didn't close it that day. And about 3 hours into the rainstorm that flooded out all of Fort Lauderdale Airport, my wife noticed that our mail was soaking wet. And so I got these rewards from somebody named Chris Moses, and I looked at the Gemini mailer that was dark brown because it had been poured on for 3 hours. And I said, well, if these books are ruined, I'm not going to complain because there's nothing you can do. I opened that up. They were bagged and boarded inside. They were taped shut. The Gemini mailer kept them completely, perfectly safe. So, Chris, thank you for packing your rewards great. They passed, what was that commercial where the monkey beat up the luggage back when I was
Samsonite luggage. Samsonite,
yeah. They passed the Samsonite challenge. So I do want everybody to know, if you back, Chris will send you the rewards, and you can throw them in the pool. I don't think you should, but you can. So I feel like we need an asterisk down here that says, please do not do what Kevin just said.
Yeah, exactly. These are not suggestions.
That's kind of a banner we could have every week. Please do not do what Kevin suggests.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's awesome. I'm glad that they got to you, and I'm really happy. So I was theorizing. I was like, how could this have happened? And I'm guessing your mailbox opens up like that. So
no, but it rained the Forrest Gump say sometimes it rained up
okay.
Not to belabor the point. It rained like a hurricane without the heavy wind.
Okay.
I've lived here for, I'm 48. I've lived here like 36 of my 48 years. I've never seen it rain like this. It was nuts, but it just went straight in and it was as soaked as you could possibly be. But Gemini mailer kept it great. And this is a point where Joey Galvez is going to attack me if I don't let you know, guys. If you want to buy Gemini mailers, go to their website, use Geek Collective 10 for 10% off, and they will keep your books safe if you also bag and board them and tape them real good like Chris did. So that'll keep Joey off of me for a week.
And I can confirm that code actually works because I used that on my last campaign. So thank you, Joey, for that.
Yeah, no,
and
it's great.
Alan from Pocus Hocus and Grandma Chainsaw said that it was actually, with that code, it was actually cheaper to order them directly from Gemini than it was from Amazon. So there you go.
Yes, but then that deprived Jeff Bezos of money, and we don't want to do that because what we need is richer billionaires.
That's right.
Yeah,
absolutely.
All right. Well, we've been out in outer space. Let's come back closer to home, but let's go from sci-fi to fantasy. So, Jeff, let's take a look at Magic Powder number 4. I'm going to pull it up, and if you could kind of tell us, is the art team the same of the first 3 issues, and whether they are or not, how did you get everybody together for Magic Powder?
All right, so for Magic Powder 4, it is the same art team. Daniele Aquilani out of Italy. He's been on the art since page 1 all the way back, actually since the character concepts we started to do back in July of 2021. And then my main cover A artist is Samuel Awunzi out of Nigeria. And he does the A cover on every single Magic Powder so far. And then we have a variant cover, which is our second variant cover ever. And it's also done by Matt Harding, who did the first variant cover on issue 2. And this one, you'll see it when you scroll down. It's based on Grand Theft Auto, kind of like the cover. So it's like an homage to Grand Theft Auto. So hopefully, that draws some people in. We're waiting on the full color version, but he got me the inks done before we launched. So I was glad to have that up there for everybody. And then my sister, she does all like the graphics. She made the logo and stuff like that. She does anything I need Photoshop wise, things like that. So, and that's the whole team right there, because Danielle does the colors, the letters, he does the inks, he does everything. So, and then here's Matt's cover right here.
Nice.
Yeah, it came out really good. I was stoked about it. I kind of just like let him freewheel on it, and then he sent it to me. And the top left corner was originally a helicopter, but this isn't Godfather 3, so there is no helicopter in Magic Powder. And so I had to have him change that. But he told me that every single GTA cover has a top left corner helicopter, apparently. So he changed it to the Dwarves Drill from the last issue, since it's something that spins around like that. But yeah, so that's fun. But yeah, he picked everybody he wanted, like how they're shot and everything. So that's all him. So we got the Dwarf Father up top, and then you got on the right, you got Breaker Skate, and then you got the Orc and Goblin bosses there. You got the Minotaur with his crazy minigun. You got one of the Finns he's like a merman. Then you got a Goblin, and then the Dwarf Father's car from the first issue, all on that cover. So that'll be cool. Anyone who's like been following Magic Powder, I think will enjoy that cover a lot. Or if you just like Grand Theft Auto, you probably like that cover a lot. But yeah, great. And these are all the names of everybody who does all the work. Just great work by everybody.
Is Raven doing the lettering as well? Who's doing the lettering?
Letters. Yeah, Danielle does those. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah,
the lettering looks really, really slick. I mean, I really like the lettering on this.
Yeah, I love it too. Like I'm a big fan. Originally, in the very first issue, I sent out a couple like preview pages for everybody. And they said we needed to kind of space out the letters a little bit. And so after that, it always came back with pretty positive feedback. So yeah, he's just great at what he does. And then he's just getting better and better. Like the colors, man, the letter. Because originally, I just seen his artwork and it was all black and white. And I was like, this is cool. He was on Reddit, Comic Book Collabs Reddit. And I just posted, I was looking for an artist. He just posted, he finished a comic with Ricky Lima out of Canada. And he was looking for, a writer to work with. So I hit him up and he, he's like, I can do colors, I can do letters. He sent me some examples. They were cool. And then the very first time he ever did like a Magic Powder page and I see the colors, I was just like, oh my. So like, he just like, because a big part of Magic Powder too, I didn't mention it earlier. It's based off of like an idea I got while I was watching the show Gomorrah, which takes place in Naples, like in Italy. And then Danielle's from Italy. So when I told him, that's kind of like, I wanted it to kind of look like ancient Rome, but like then, projects built atop of that, which is kind of what's going on out there, So it's like you had this old ancient civilization and now it's just modernized. It's kind of buried underneath everything. You know what I'm saying? It's built on like, the water. And so, he just, as someone from Italy, he just can just put me there. So it's just amazing. So it's like Fez feels a little bit like Italy. It feels like New York. It feels like our own thing. It's like, I just love working with Danielle. So yeah, he's like a godsend, basically. I found him, like I said, on Reddit of all places. So thank God for social media. I found Sam on Facebook. I found Matt on Twitter. I found my sister in one of my bedrooms probably at some point. She just moved in and she was there for the rest of my life. So that's how that works.
and you probably didn't want her for the first 3 or 4 years, and now you're realizing, oh my God, she has some purpose.
I don't know exactly when I became protective of my sister, but yeah, probably not right at the beginning. It was like, what are you doing here? You're kind of loud. Yeah,
are you the oldest, Jeff?
No, I'm the middle child. So I got an older brother, and then I got a younger sister. So and my brother, my brother's cool. He lives in right now he's living in New York actually, but yeah, Raven lives in New Jersey. So I'm out here in Vegas all by myself. But what are you gonna do?
I also see that you know the secret though of the Italian artist. That's what
man. Yeah, exactly. When you were talking about it earlier, I was like, yep, you got it. No doubt about it. And it's like, there's a ton of great Italian artists all over social media, especially like on Twitter. So yeah, like, I don't know what it is, what they're doing out there, but they're churning out tons of great artists. So,
Will and I run into a lot of great Italian artists and a lot of great French artists on the show. And I think we've talked about it before. I think it's just the perfect time zone change. Because if the writer's in America, we can stay up late, write a bunch of stuff, and we can email it, and we can go to sleep. Yep. And we can wake up, and the page isn't drawn, but I bet there's a character thing that I'm thinking something like this that they've emailed back. And so you wake up, and it's sort of like, this magic elf has been working while you slept, and
it's like that Rick and Morty episode where they just put their bodies to work while they're asleep. Like,
and then they go to sleep, and then we get it back, and we're like, oh, well, this looks good, and then we write something, and so when they wake up, it's like their American elf has been working. So I'm a big proponent of the one continent over comic collaboration personally.
Yeah, it's really cool like that. Like you said, and we wake up to like, just fun art. Like that starts your day so great. It's like, who needs coffee now? And I already feel like gold, like so just going out feeling great. So yeah, I mean, Magic Powder's been going great. I love all the people I get to work with, and the campaigns have been going good. Like this is our strongest first 2 days ever. So like, we got a long way to go, but we made 6,000 on last issue. So I'm not really worried about hitting it. I mean, I think we'll make it. Well, in a lot of the return people haven't came yet. We got a lot of new people already, so I think we'll be all right. And then I got you guys always shout us out and stuff like that. There's a lot of support out there on Twitter and stuff. That's the thing, like they can't ruin what's out there. You know what I mean? I know there's a lot of social media stuff, even Facebook and Instagram's not what it used to be, and especially Twitter now. But it's still going, it's still pumping for us. Like there's still readers out there waiting for us to put out our new work, and there's still other artists and other writers and other editors and everybody else just trying to spread the word for each other, because they say a retweet don't go as far as it used to and stuff like that. And it's probably true, but if you can get 100
shorts.
Yeah, that's the thing. Not yet, just because where I'm at, it's not exactly aesthetically pleasing for videos and stuff. But yeah, I gotta work on getting out of this dump before I gotta do stuff like that again. But yeah, I used to do like Twitch's streams and stuff like that, which is cool. But the internet here kind of sucks. So I can't really do that anymore. But yeah, but yeah, exactly. Like, do vertical camera shots instead of nice looking landscape camera shots. And that's what the kids like nowadays. 20 seconds or less, whatever, and then you're not wrong. That's really what gets the numbers up now. It's gross how they just choose what's going to work. You know what I mean? Like, this used to work, but screw you guys. We're just going to make it new now. Like, algorithms, all that nonsense. Like if I have 8,000 followers, 8,000 people would get online at that time, which they obviously won't. But if they are on at that time, they should see it. But that's not how it works.
Yeah. You would have thought that 10 years ago, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when I get on Twitter, like 2008, and it was still kind of just like the timeline is the timeline, There wasn't even mutes yet, and now there's like muting each other, pretending you're following each other, like all that stuff. Never mind what they got going on in the background.
I've been noticing you haven't been replying to my, but that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So, But yeah, right. I got you followed on too. Anyone who like does anything to do with magic powder, I can't mute because I would never want to offend them as they read my stuff. So I know better than that.
I had a Twitter friend like DM me and go, "Why did you unfollow me?" And I said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And they said, "Well, you unfollowed me." And I'm like, "Look, dude, if I did, it was on accident. I love your feed," and refollowed him. I don't know if I like put my phone in my pocket and it did it, or sometimes it just. And this was long before.
I think sometimes the stupid thing,
just does
follows
right?
people for you. Yeah, no doubt about it. Like they try to cause drama for you.
Yeah, I would definitely have not. And like about 3 days later, that person refollowed me. I was like, oh, so that was offensive. I promise you, I did not mean to, but it's okay.
Check this out. True story. After last issue, I got a new reader or whatever, and they were a little, over the top online. Kind of, you could see they needed some help offline. But there's nothing I could really do about it. And so, I remember they were just like freaking out all the time. And they hit me up one time. They're like, "Do you have me blocked on Instagram?" And they hit me up on Twitter. And I'm like, "I don't even think I follow this person on Instagram." So I went over to look on Instagram, and I was like, I told him I don't think so. And I went to go look, and they weren't blocked or anything. And I followed him. And then I went back to Twitter, and he had like unfollowed me on Twitter. I was
Before you could even check it out.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was just like, all right. And I just blocked the dude on both. I was like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for anyone who's like counting followers that closely, stuff like that.
Yeah, what's time for any of that?
Nah, you know what I mean? Like, I hear it helps your numbers if you have a certain ratio, whatever. I just, nah, man. Like, just leave
right
me
now,
alone.
the biggest conflict on Twitter is the blue check mark. I'm a voice
now
actor, so a lot of voice actors I know who have these blue check marks for a long time, they took them away from them. Like Mark Hamill, Tara Strong, and all these other famous voice actors, they took their blue check mark away because they're not going to pay for it. But it's like, Mark Hamill has like 15 million followers. Does he really need a blue check mark? You know who it is.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You just click on the account and you can see how many followers they have.
Exactly.
Like if it's fake Mark Hamill, he's got 20 followers.
Some people are kind of going up. Like I have a friend of mine named John Bailey. He's the epic voice guy. He does the voices for the Honest Trailers. Anyway, he had a blue check mark because he does voice acting in California, but they took it away and he's not paying for it. It's like people know me from other places. I'm not going to buy a blue check mark. So that's the biggest conflict right now on Twitter.
Paying for Twitter is not punk rock. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm sure the Facebook thing is doing the same thing too. If you have a page and you want a blue check mark to make sure it's you, but
I bought one for this month to see if it got me any more interaction for my campaign, and I haven't seen any kind of difference from anything. So I don't really like. You can edit your tweets, and you can tweet longer tweets, I guess, but I haven't found the need to tweet like 200 or whatever it is, like long tweets. So after it expires, it's probably that's it.
Yeah. I think I remember you kind of putting up that you were thinking about it, and I get it. 100% I get it, because I don't really put any money into Facebook, but when I've got a campaign rolling, I will boost my posts, $5 here, $5 there, nothing. I'm not hey big spender, but I do throw $8, try to get the algorithm to help you out. So I definitely don't side eye that during a campaign. Right. I totally get the experiment. It sucks. And we'll get into this during your deep dive. It sucks to hear that you haven't felt it has been a big difference.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've wasted more money on Instagram ads in the past. I've sunk like $40 into that, just trying it out, and it just like didn't do anything for me. So I was like, I can do $8 just to see, and it's whatever. It's $8 and it's 1 month.
Yeah. What really sucks is when you mess up the ad and you run it $5 a day for 30 days, and you meant to run it for like 8. That's right. And then you realize, oh shit,
it's still going.
I've spent like the last $125 on a campaign that's been over for 3 weeks. So, speaking from absolute experience, I did that once. Right. So, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, and I heard the same thing. John said that on Twitter, and I've seen a couple other people say, or even they were looking at the guidelines and it says like, oh, your boost will be posted. This is a pending feature and stuff like that. And so, yeah, everyone I've seen, I think even Blake tried it, a few other people, and, basically everyone was saying they were getting the same amount of reactions and stuff like that. So I haven't tried it, but like you said, if it was really worth it and 8,000 people on my timeline would actually see me for $8 that month, then why wouldn't you on Kickstarter throw that in your budget, that $8, and just do it? I know it's pissing a lot of people off.
I'm surprised Kickstarter isn't catching on the bandwagon. Hey, give us some extra money. We'll give you the, the whatchamacallit. We're featured you,
Yeah, that Project We Love badge. Now you can pay for it. Oh, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No ideas. Yeah, don't give them any ideas. I think they actually, somebody posted a Twitter, like, deep dive into, like, the API and stuff. And they showed you like some idea of like the multiplier on the virality of your post, and like what type of interactions do what. And there is some sort of multiplier that you get from having this blue check mark, but it's not like a huge significant boost, So it probably isn't worth it, but maybe.
I read that thread and I was super surprised that likes actually helped more than retweets.
It's stupid.
See, I'm not sure if it's clear that whoever posted that sort of like equated whatever favorites were or something like that as likes. It's not necessarily clear if that's likes or bookmarks from
when people used to bookmark them.
From there. I mean, maybe he's somewhere else in the code or whatever he was looking at says something differently that makes it clear that likes give this amount, but if you read the screenshots, the other ones, it seems way more,
clear.
Clear. It's like retweets is this, comments are this. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But this one specifically that's apparently likes is just says favorites, which is like none of the options. So, I feel like it's up in the air if that actually still does it. But it's possible that likes are as powerful as that set makes it seem.
Well, there was a time, and this predated Elon, where I was seeing more likes in my feed than retweets, which make no sense whatsoever. Because there's a much more viral. I want people to see this for a retweet.
Yeah, that's why I hit retweet.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, but I guess it made sense in my mind. But I'm sorry, I cut you off. Go for it.
No, on TikTok, you can the likes and the comments do a lot for a video. But then again, that's video, not Twitter, but still, it likes and comments. I'm sure has a lot to do with it too.
Totally.
If people are commenting and liking it, maybe they'll do it more.
Basically, what I know is if you are a fan of a book that's running a campaign, even if I do the dumbest tweet you've ever read, please like it. Please,
it helps every single retweet.
Comment back, retweet it. It's free and it does do a lot because there's some things where somebody's been just hearing about getting back to normal for 8 days and they haven't gone to the page yet, but then they see it on Chris's page, they see it on my page, they see it on Will's page, and all of a sudden they're like, well, fine, I'll go check it out.
Right.
They watch the trailer and they're like, oh, this seems cool. And, you need to get 20 people to any page. And this is not, knocking that's the way it works. You need 20 people to come to every Kickstarter page to get a backer.
Speaking of that, I have an interesting question. I've had 2 failed Kickstarters already. This is my number 3rd.
Third time's a charm, right?
Well, I hope. I mean, I only really need enough money to get money for the printing of the cost of the comic. But it's like the first time I did this in 2020, I was asking for like 2,000, and that one really failed. The second one for a book, wasn't for Turkana, for something totally different. I thought, well, hey, this different thing might work. Well, I've only asking for 1,000. Now I got to like 400. So either, okay, what am I doing wrong? But this time I'm only asking for 500. So it's not that much. I only have like 8 backers. So it's like on one end, I'm a little worried, but then again, I still have like 25 days left. So maybe there's a little time to get to that,
Well, there's definitely
what's the secret? I want to know.
There's definitely time. I do think an all ages book is a rougher sell on
a little more difficult,
than other platforms. What I've learned, and I did a kids book that we just got funding from the good graces of my Tart readers, and then for 20 days we didn't go anywhere. Like our funding goal was 2,500 and we had it in like 2 days, and it was a 30-day campaign, and I think we finished with 2,700.
Okay.
Now
you think you would have set it higher, you would have made more?
That's a super good question that I can't answer. I do know that I was like, oh, I don't know how to do this Kickstarter thing. And then when Tyler James emailed me and said, hey, do you want to be part of Comics Lunch? I said, oh, yes, I really, really do, because I thought I knew this and I don't know this. But it was a kid's book, because people go to Kickstarter to buy books for themselves, not necessarily to buy books for someone else. And an all ages book is normally someone buying it for a son, a daughter, a niece, a nephew. And it is tougher. So I don't think you're doing anything specifically wrong. And you certainly have time to make it. And you're coming on podcast and you're doing the work. I just think Kickstarter isn't at this point an all ages book. Like, yes, it's going to land.
I think too, like Phil says in the comments over here, though, a lot of it is like, how, marketing to your audience. Like, what's your audience look like? Because if you don't have one yet, you got to build that it's almost like a pre-launch. You got to do your audience first, then you got to do the pre-launch, then you got to do the launch. Like, you got to build, because it's a time limit with the Kickstarter. If it wasn't, you wouldn't have to do that. But like, I think that's a big part of it. So like me personally, before I even did my first comic, like I had, a Twitter following just from all the other stupid crap I've done online over the years. And so like, and like, I've been writing and all these other things and stuff. But like when my first comic came out, and not only that, but I think it was like, it was good quality. So that helped also. But yeah, just like my audience was already built in. So I knew I already had like 50 people that were going to back it. Just from, if I would hit them up, be like, yo, I got a comic book. I knew they had my back. Like family, friends, Twitter people, YouTube people. Like I just knew I had that audience. And now I feel like, it's up to like about 300 people or so. And hopefully, keep going, 500, just keep going. Like, because I'm not trying to find like a publisher for what I'm doing. I'm just trying to keep it going the way we do it, until someone wants to like do something else, like different media with it maybe. But like outside of the comic books themselves, for right now, I don't mind shipping 500 comics. Like it don't bother me.
It's a rough job, but the more you have to ship, the better you be done.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's like, oh, it hurts my back, but you're also patting yourself on the back at the same time. No big deal.
I'm going to cons, I'm going to bookstores, I'm going on podcasts, so
yeah,
I think I'm doing the work here.
No, you are, and you have a good personality. I feel like, so you'll be good, man.
But cons and bookstores don't help you on Kickstarter.
Yeah,
they help you at cons and they help you at bookstores. But it's a whole different audience. You might talk to 20 people at a convention and one of them backs Kickstarters.
Yeah, true. Okay.
And that's what I feel like I'm lacking is the in-person growth. You know what I mean? I'm all online, like especially since the COVID stuff. Like I hardly ever go in person to any kind of group things. Like, I got to start going out to these conventions, man. I used to do more conventions when I was doing like toy stuff than I have since comics started up. But,
no, that has been quite the cross to bear for all of us. Some people don't care; they go, they get sick, or they don't get sick, and like some people don't go. That's a personal choice that we all have to.
I've been to a few cons recently, and I see a lot of people still. Well, not a lot, but it's like they see masks at cons, but not at like bigger events, and I can totally understand that. It's a big event, especially when you're going to like a 3-day con. If it's a smaller event, there might not be as many, so it just depends.
Yeah. But I want to make sure we get through each book. So let's get to getting back to normal. John, I'm going to pull up the page.
Sure. Where
did the synthesis for this idea first, if it came from you, how did it come to you, or who brought the idea?
I always feel like the backstories on how my comics came about are really convoluted all the time. So just like Home Free, this came from my graphic novel, The Black Wall. In that story, I had a character named Raccoon that he was on the like 3 pages maybe. And for each digital release of each chapter of The Black Wall, I wanted to have like an extra comic to release with it. So I was going to like just take different characters from the story and just give them more backstory and do like a small comic with each one. And when it came to like, I started with Raccoon, and I just couldn't stop writing him. So I ended up writing like a whole graphic novel and just split it up into different parts to release with each chapter. So that's where he came from, because like I just found when I started writing him, I couldn't stop. And he was just such an interesting character that I just wanted to keep moving with him, and just the story kept growing. Just wanted to note real fast that I also have an Italian artist on this comic.
Nice.
Luigi Criscuolo. He's awesome, man. I love working with this guy. I can't wait to do more with him in the future.
That's another accidental theme Will and I put together. That once we get here, we realize that we organized well, and there was no thought behind it. So
It's not Italian artist theme night.
Yeah,
it is.
it is now.
It is now, exactly.
We got to organize a trip for us all to just do an American convention in Italy and steal all their artists.
Right. As long as I'm mentioning Luigi, my letterer is also Eduardo Camacho, and he's worked with me on pretty much all my comics now, except for my very early stuff that I've done. So he also does the Home Free series. So basically, with this comic, Raccoon, he is a homeless man. He's been on the streets most of his life. Maybe I'd say, like, if I was going to give you a guess on it, it's probably about 30 years of his life. He's just been all over the place, living in motels, tents, never really having a home, you know. And he's also uses drugs. He's an addict, not like the fun kind, you know. I'm talking like, you know, he's like meth and all that. So he's very much an unreliable narrator. So he's like the star of our comic. We're gonna go on this journey with him, but we never know where he is. Like, is he in reality? Is he like in his own head? But are these clues that he's picking up really leading him any place, or is it leading him to a whole different story than the one he thinks he's in, you know? So it's very much an existential crime comic where while this plot is moving him forward, he's also discovering a ton about himself that maybe he's forgotten about. Like, he at this point in his life, he is Raccoon. The cops have named him Raccoon because he's such a wild man, you know? So basically, he doesn't even really know who his past self is because he's been this other guy for so long. So that's the story on this one. And with the campaign, we're in our last week, basically ends the 27th, but pretty much the 28th at like 6 a.m. or something. So we're getting there. We've hit over almost at the 70% point with funding. So I gotta keep pushing this week real hard. So gotta get the last few dollars in there.
I noticed as we went through that you have a catch-up tier that has this and the first 3 issues of Home Free, which is
right.
A really cool book that we've talked about. If you want to kind of introduce what Home Free is for somebody who might want to catch up on all 4 issues.
Sure. So Home Free is also another crime comic. It's also stems from the graphic novel, The Black Wall, that I did. Pretty much, somehow I created this crime universe. I got The Black Wall. I did Getting Back to Normal. So Getting Back to Normal is a couple years older, but still pretty relevant to the things going on in our world. Home Free, and then working off of Home Free, I'm writing little novellas for each release of it. Basically based on like small characters in that comic, or taking off from events that happen in that comic. So it just kind of keeps growing, even though none of it's totally interconnected besides maybe The Black Wall and Home Free. Those stories work together, where it doesn't matter which one you read first, but they both work off each other. But Home Free is about a girl named Sarah, a woman named Sarah. She's just kind of at odds with her own life, and she meets a young prostitute in a bar who's having a bad time with her shitty pimp, you know. So she goes to kind of help her escape, but it turns into a little more than an escape and more of a confrontation, and that forces them to go on the road. And on the road, they get into other wild situations. And the story kind of grows from there to connect back to The Black Wall. But you're gonna, if you read Home Free, it stands on its own very well. You don't have to read The Black Wall, but eventually I hope you will, because we're going to do that after the Home Free series is over in the next 2 issues.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. I noticed the black and white art, reminiscent of like Frank Miller's Sin City type feel. Did you talk to the artist about how you wanted that to look, or did you just kind of send a script and you got those pages back and thank your lucky stars?
No, I definitely wanted a black and white look. I like the really just kind of stark black and white. And Luigi is really he did a really great job at it. I think if you look at the pages, he's actually updating some of the art right now too. Just because this is a couple of years ago, he's an artist. He's looking at it and he just like, you're gonna put this in a book. I gotta do some stuff with this, you know. His art, the old art's great, but he wants to make it better. So he's working on some of that right now. And yeah, I wanted like the stark black and white look because when I saw the pages that he was showing me, I saw that he could do that, but also like really bring that human quality of the character, and that's really important for Raccoon because, like I said, like he's got a lot of issues. He may not be a character that people are immediately attracted to, just because of his problems and who he is and everything, and he's just kind of a wild dude. But I wanted you to be able to see who, you know, Raccoon's more than just that. You know, he is a human being. There's a man there, and he's, you know, and Luigi did a like beautiful job of like because he's on every page of this book. He's almost in every single panel, so he had to be able to like bring about that humanity and like show you all the different sides of Raccoon. If it's gonna keep people's interest because he's just in this book so much. So. Just I give you know whatever I can to Luigi on this. Man, he did beautiful work with it.
I think that character is what drew me to the uniqueness of what I haven't read it yet, but what I can see from the outside, I'm like, oh, this is a story I don't think I've experienced before, and I can't wait to read it. So
cool. So I hope so, man. Like yeah, I feel like, you know, there is a little bit of uniqueness. It kind of takes like that basic detective story, flips it on its head, putting you with a character who you normally don't get to hang out with for 97 pages of a graphic novel, you know? So I'm excited to get it out there, you know? And if people are kind of on, you know, I don't know about this comic, I do have a sample of like the first 8 pages, I think, that you can just go look at right on the Kickstarter page.
that's awesome.
So you can just kind of you'll learn everything you need to know about Raccoon in those 8 pages, and whether you want to stick with them for the next 90.
Gorgeous. All right, we're hitting right about midnight, so I think we can maybe do another round of the 30-second pitches in case somebody came in close, in case they missed it. And I want to thank everybody for coming through. We won't make you do the pitch on getting back to normal. We'll let you do it last so that you can take a drink. Let's go Magic Powder. And one last time before we close it up, how would you get somebody interested in Magic Powder?
All right, so Magic Powder, we're on our 4th issue, so we've been going strong to show you we already have an audience and everything like that. We also are based on basically the idea. I'm talking too fast. So the idea is basically Dungeons and Dragons meets The Wire, meets Breaking Bad, meets The Sopranos, meets Gomorrah, any of those kinds of shows. And then, you know, mixing it up. No human beings, none of that kind of stuff. But a big thing I left out last time was, so these are the first 3 issues, 1, 2, 3. This is the lore book. So you're not going to be able to get that in single form anymore. Now it all comes in volume 1, a lot like how Chris does it. So yeah, the first 4 books are all in volume 1 trade paperback, you know, so we got it all going on in here. It's also like formatted and organized for you so you can read it in better order, because with the lore book, it's kind of like out of order. So this is the way to go. Volume 1, it's in the add-ons, and it's also in the catch-up packages. So yeah, go ahead, get yourself some Magic Powder.
Although I might think about, if it was me, I might do an update where maybe that day I allowed someone to get the one you just showed. But that's just me being a brute.
I like it. Yeah, that guy Kevin with a great idea right there. But yeah, definitely, man. Like now, I see you guys talking about that. I'm gonna throw that out there now. Like, I can bring you guys. Who wants a little bonus section? But yeah,
just a little bonus. Well, let's go to the guy who actually brought that info, Chris. Let's do the Saturn effect.
Oh, I thought you were about to bring in that guy. I thought he was
no,
good promo.
I don't think he's coming in tonight, and that's okay. We love that guy when he shows up, but when he doesn't, he's dead to us.
Okay. Well, what's not dead is the Saturn Effect Alpha, which is live right now for the next 2 weeks on Kickstarter. Follow stellar siblings Alpha and Centauri as they try and free their home, the Titan colonies, from the Earth Empire. And this is volume 1. We also have issue 5, which is our new issue, available right now for the next 2 weeks. Definitely go over, grab a copy. the best sci-fi epic you will ever read, and just some badass comics. Who doesn't want badass sci-fi comics? It's just amazing. Back Red Sea, we have a lot of cool shit coming in the future as well. So, and thank you for having me on, guys. I really appreciate it.
Of course, absolutely. Frank, 30 seconds on how you've been doing conventions. So how do you tell people about Turkana?
Just the same thing I told you before. It usually gets people going, which is when my daughter was 7, she looked at me and she said, "Daddy, I don't like princesses anymore. I like superheroes." And that's where the seed of the idea came from. People can relate to that because, oh yeah, I have a kid too, that kind of thing. So anyway, Turkana started off as a princess. She left her evil mother behind. She comes to Earth, becomes a superhero. It's an all ages comic. There are 6 comics. The Kickstarter is for Turkana comic number 7, which is what I need the money for to get it printed off. So you can get caught up on the first 6. Let's say you don't have any of the comics, you can go there and get all the comics if you want. Turkana's the one with the long blue hair. She's the one that's the cool looking person. Her alter ego is named Paige, which is my daughter's name. So, and there's it's a mix of different people. Like I said, I have one who's a vegetarian. I have one who's a needy kid who's like he plays video games and that kind of stuff. And I have a Latina lesbian in there too. So it's like this. They're all teenagers except for Turkana. She looks like a 15-year-old girl, but she's actually 150 years old.
Nice.
Yes, she's from another planet. So
you've got 30 more seconds, John, before you have to talk again, because I forgot to do this at the beginning. Now I'm not doing a deep dive because I did it last week, but I am launching a campaign to print Tart 15, which is now, because we hit a stretch goal. We did get a cancellation that put us under it, but I'm still counting it. We hit our stretch goal. We're going to put 30 pages of story in Tart 15. She is on the road trying to catch a demonic serial killer who is killing 1 human per state every 2 weeks. And she's just been 2 days late over and over and over again. And she is approached by one of the sons of the King of Hell who offers a deal. Work together. We can get this demon out of the way. And she has to decide whether stopping a demon killer is worth working with a prince of hell. So please check out Tart 15. We're really proud of it. And we're about halfway through our series. And I think that when you get to read the entire thing, Tart 15 will go from, I like that issue, to, oh, holy crap. So John, take us home with Getting Back to Normal.
I just want to say first about your campaign. I think it's $20 for all 15 issues digitally, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's what I dove in on, because I haven't read Tart yet, so I'm excited to just like have 15 issues of a comic to read for $20. That's sweet. I also want to say about Magic Powder.
Thank you.
Magic Powder. I love the covers of Magic Powder so much that I hired Samuel to do. I contacted Jeff because I was like, dude, who does this? I hired Samuel to do a cover for one of the variant covers for Home Free issue 3 because he's just a badass. So Samuel's a real professional dude. Like, he's cool to work with. He's fast and he just does a beautiful job. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, Sam rules. I could also vouch for him. Everybody else hit him up. Shia the Artist on Instagram and on Twitter.
So yeah, Getting Back to Normal is just a unique, different kind of crime comic. You're gonna dive in with a wild dude who's been living on the streets for his whole life, and he wants to bring justice to a dead body that he finds. Like, he wants to find the killer because the man reminds him of himself. So he goes off to find this person, but he's an unreliable narrator, so you know he's going to get you into situations and take you places that you just don't get to normally go. So that's Getting Back to Normal.
Awesome. All right, gentlemen, absolutely appreciate it. Hit us up when you've got a campaign running in the future, and we can't wait to see what all of you make as you continue on this crazy little thing called making comics. Will, I hope you have a great week. I will see you next Friday when we've got a couple more awesome campaigns. Rob Moltari will be here with Nightwolf. I am usually quiet about who will come because sometimes people miss, and that's okay. But I don't want to be embarrassed. And I know Rob Moltari is going to be here with his Nightwolf crew, and I'm happy to say, we're going to hit it next Friday. Good night, everybody.
Good night.